for us, we're excited. I think all coaches this time of year, for us, year 2 being in the Big 12, knowing a little bit more about it, buying less diapers. We're not quite as young a football team as we were a year ago. Still feeling like we're young. A lot of players that we thought we had last year that we didn't have that are back, along with our younger football teams. So for us, growing up, understanding we have a big ball game right out of the gate as far as you guys are concerned, playing a program like LSU. We're excited about that. A lot of people, taking the philosophy of not playing games, but as far as TCU is concerned, to be able to play a game and play a program like LSU that's had national implications over the last few years, with a coach like Les Miles is somebody that you want to be a part of, and playing in Cowboy Stadium and be a part of that. So there's been a lot of big ball games that have been a part of that situation. So for us, our kids have been excited through the spring and then this summer, and for us it's been a lot of fun. Now looking forward to how we get into it here in a week and a half. We start on the 31st is when we come into camp because the game's early, so we're not very far away. Questions?
What was your reaction when you learned that Casey Paul Hall was the choice in the media to be the All-Big 12 first-team quarterback?
I mean, kind of like being picked third. I tell people all the time, it's his job and my job. If you pick me high, to prove you right. If you pick me low, to prove you wrong. And so in his case, to do it, and just kind of get probably questions from you out of the kid. A lot of people ask me why I didn't bring him to media days. Number one, we don't know who our starting quarterback is. But two, it doesn't have anything to do with what my intentions were. If you really want to know the truth about it, him and I talked, I kind of mentioned, look, if you want, you need to get some of this stuff out of the way, because these guys are going to ask these questions down the road. But kind of like he did in the spring, he asked me when he came in, Coach, can I just be a student? Can I be a football player? So what I've done is I've left him alone. I asked him before media days. I asked him about, now do you want to go? And his whole thing is, I just want to be a student, I want to be a football player. So I'm letting him do his thing, keep the pressure off of him. I think having a 2-quarterback situation that we feel like we have 2 quarterbacks now that can go win ball games in the Big 12 is a positive as far as the pressure type and go forward. But Casey's a very talented young man. How he handles everything and does it will be an indication of how well we do in the Big 12 conference, because you got to have, if you want to play well in the Big 12, you got to play well at quarterback. Even last year when Trayvon played well, we won. When he didn't play well, we lost. And you got to play good defense. So having a Casey Paul Hall back that was playing, I think he was the number 1 ranked quarterback after 4 games when we set him aside, I think tells you that if he comes back and plays at that level, he gives us a better chance to win.
2 questions. You hinted at that you may play 2 quarterbacks, Trayvon and Casey both. Is that the case, or are you undecided at this point?
I think it just depends. We'll see how 2-a-days scrimmages and going in the first ball game. It'd be more that when I say that, it won't be a 50-50 thing, I don't think. But I do believe there's a place for both of them. If it is Casey as the starter, you have a Trayvon that really can beat you with his legs. How do you do that? But he really developed. He had an unbelievable spring, to be honest with you, which bodes well for us because he's only going to be a sophomore for us for the future after this season. But I think, you give a quality of understanding that they can't just going into a ball game. If he's going to play some, you can't just say that your game plan is all about a guy that's a thrower and he hands it off and he does a great job of checking and has a strong arm. I think you have to get ready for both of them, just like we've done for other schools in this conference. They have a guy that can throw it, a guy that does a better job running. And for a defensive guy, that's a lot different animal because you got to put a little bit more work into it.
Second question here, Garrett, is as a defensive guy, the fact that there is an 8th official and he's going to be spotting the ball. Our team's going to play even faster now with.
Actually, I think they can't play any faster. What you're going to get is you're going to get better eyes on making sure that we're all getting lined up and doing. I was one of the guys that voted for having the 8th official because that guy's going to be the spot that allows your umpire and your referee not to worry about that. They can stand back and make sure everything else gets handled the way they were supposed to handle it in the first place. If you're up moving and the chains haven't even got set, and they're still backing out of underneath the snap, and the ball's being snapped, it's really hard for them to do their job. And so for me, I think it's a welcome addition. I think just like basketball went from 2 to 3, I just think it helps all of us if the game's going to stay as fast. If anything, I think it gets back to helping the defense a little bit more, because now you have one more set of eyes that are watching everything.
Gary, obviously you've had some, very great defenses, multiple great defenses over the years. When you look at the returnees you have and the progress made last year, what's the potential for this group?
Well, you have to, losing Stanley and Ponga, he went out early in the draft. Kenny Kane, with everybody coming back, you have to be able to rush the passer in this league. And even though everybody throws the ball, you have to be able to stop the run. There's not any doubt about how you do that. Whether it's by when they catch it, you don't let them run with it, or when they're handing it off. You've got to get it to where you have an advantage as far as it's a passing down. It can't be an even down all the time. And you've got to minimize the big plays. You can't allow the score within a minute and a half. It's really hard to win ball games if you allow people to do that. And so, I said a year ago, you got to learn how to make people kick field goals. And we did that to an extent. I still think that you got to learn. So it's one thing about playing in the middle of the field, then it's another thing to play in the red zone. And we've got to keep emphasizing that, along with everybody else, I'm sure, in the league is doing that. But we're always going to have good skilled players. It's just everybody can run. Everybody gets their group of guys every year. Somebody's going to have a guy that can go beat you deep, and so you always have to have a couple of those guys that can defend those guys. But it's a great challenge. I think whether it's your job or it's mine, you guys and writers, you find a guy that's really doing a great job of doing the story. Then everybody's trying to, how does he do it? And how do I become like him or close to being like him? I don't think we're any different in doing our job. The offense is kind of like in baseball. The hitters one year are way ahead of the pitchers, and the next year as they catch up. How do we as a defensive groups keep catching up and being able to hold our own? And because when it gets all down to it, we can score a lot of points, but for us to be a national contender on a national scene, you got to be able to play great defense in November and December and then January ball games to win national titles, whether it's in TCU or anywhere else. You can score points, but you've got to be able, in big ball games, you've got to be able to play defense. And so all of us as a league, got to learn how we keep making ourselves better to do that. And there's a couple ways, scheme-wise, and also keep recruiting better players. The better players we have, the better we're going to be able to do that. So I don't think there's any magic formula, but you can't allow offenses to dictate. You got to be able to practice so that you can be as multiple as what they are on offense and be able to call it just as fast, and that's one of the things that we try to work on.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much for your comments. Have a great season.
Thanks for all being here.